I've analyzed 100 paragliding incidents, and I can tell you that the difference between an enjoyable, long paragliding career and one that is full of incidents, accidents, and potential disaster is not about your wing. It's not about your hours. It's not even about your skills. It's about your mindset. And today, I'm going to teach you how to master it. Ready? Here we go. See ya. I'm an elite paraglider with over 3,000 flight hours and multiple distance records, founder of the Paragliding Men's Group, where great pilots transform into greater men, partners, and fathers. Mastery in the sky begins with owning our shit on the ground, so if you're a man who wants it all, welcome home. What's up, everybody? This is Ari in the Air. Welcome back to the channel. Stoked you're here. We all know that paragliding is just an incredible sport that can fill our cups immensely. But if our cups have holes in them, then it just can't be filled. You've probably seen this. You know that pilot who always has the high-end glider and the technical gear. He's always talking about glide ratios and competition results, but he gets easily frustrated when the conditions don't cooperate and he cannot take feedback to save his life. Then there's the carefree van life pilot. He's always hooting and hollering and having a blast. He flies a ton, but his flying is kind of sketchy, and he doesn't seem to really care about his own safety. These two pilots represent opposite ends of the spectrum, and they're both missing something critical. The first pilot is missing the enjoyment, the joy of paragliding. The second pilot is missing the responsibility. Today, I want to tell you how mindset is really the soil from which every paragliding decision and experience you ever have stems from, and how to have a solid paragliding mindset. But before we start, I got to admit, I've been on both sides of this spectrum. When I learned to paraglide, I started flying 11 years ago, and I was a young pro skier, and I was really arrogant. I looked down on other people for their comments on safety because I just said that they were scared, and I could not take feedback at all. 5 years later, having shattered the state record the season before, I landed out on a banner day, and I was so disappointed and frustrated with myself that I screamed until my voice was hoarse, and I pounded my fists on the dirt until they bled. Days later, it seemed ridiculous that I had such a bad time doing the sport that I loved that I realized I had to make a big change in my perspective and my attitude if I wanted to survive, let alone have a long and fulfilling career doing this activity that I love so much. So I started paying close attention to how my self-esteem, how my mindset influenced my paragliding. I started to notice that on days that I felt really content with myself, I paraglided calm and safe and patient, and I flew really far, and I genuinely enjoyed my time. Even landing out, long retrieves, late nights, it all seemed enjoyable to me. On other days where I didn't wake up feeling totally secure in myself, I found that I was snippy with my girlfriend or my friends on launch. I white-knuckled the toggles all day and pushed really hard in the air. I would land frazzled and spent of energy. Getting home felt like a huge chore, and rarely I felt super fulfilled with my time spent. Ultimately, in 2013, I was skiing in the backcountry with a friend, and he triggered an avalanche, and it killed him right in front of my eyes, and it led me to make a categorical change with how I see myself. Now my personal goal on this topic is pretty clear to me. I want to take myself seriously enough that I'm humble and I'm a ravenous learner who can take feedback and failure with grace and no loss of enthusiasm, but not so seriously that I lose my joy, my friends, or my gratitude for my life and paragliding. And honestly, this is not limited to paragliding. I want to be as safe and centered in the air as I am at home with my family, at work, in my business, and with my friends every day. I want to feel good in my life, and I want to have a good life, and I want paragliding to be a rad part of that. Now, I could talk on this subject for a long time, but I want to distill this down into the 3 buckets that really make up your worldview, your mindset, however we want to call it, okay? They are esteem, identity and emotional intelligence, and radical responsibility. The first one keeps you caring enough about yourself that you stay safe and learn. The second one keeps you making good decisions. And the third one keeps you enjoying your time so that you can stay in the game long enough to have great experiences and learn and grow. So for each of these buckets, there's a few statements that really illuminate where you're at. These are like inspections to your cup, like we talked about. If your cup has holes in it, then no amount of paragliding can fill you up. If these statements resonate as deeply true for you, then you're probably in a really great position. And if these things seem like they don't resonate, they're confusing, or they seem even stupid to consider, then there's probably some serious work for you to do. Okay, so in the first bucket, esteem, the statements are as follows. The first one is, I don't need to do anything to be valuable, dignified, or worthy of love and respect, especially paraglide. The second is, I love myself without conditions of any kind. And the third, what other people think of me is none of my business. In the second bucket, identity and emotional intelligence, the first statement is, paragliding is something that I love, but it is not who I am. 2, I prioritize my physical safety over momentary recognition or validation. And the third one, I am aware that I'm an emotional player in an emotional game, and I'm aware of the emotional needs that I'm trying to have met through paragliding. I make conscious choices accordingly. The third bucket is radical responsibility. First, I commit to using everything in my life, including paragliding, to further my personal, relational, and spiritual development. I'll use it all. Second, I am responsible for my own thoughts, feelings, actions, and outcomes. I don't blame it on anyone else. I'm not waiting for anyone else to save me. And third, everything that comes up in my life and paragliding, the joyous and the tragic, is here to help me learn and grow. When you embrace these principles, the outcomes are transformative. You make flying decisions from a place of clear-headed wisdom and not from your ego. You progress way faster because you can take feedback and you can be introspective about your results. Your flights become more enjoyable because you become present and you're not worried about what other people are think of you. You stop performing, and you get to build deeper connections with your community and other pilots based on your authentic self, instead of trying to position yourself as some kind of good pilot or so experienced or so great. You just get to be who you are, where you are in your path, on your progression. So much better. So before your next flight, take a couple minutes to yourself, find yourself, sit deep in your breath, calm down for a second, and check in with these 3 buckets. How am I feeling about myself today? Why am I flying today? What am I looking for today? And am I ready to commit to learning from whatever happens here? It seems so simple, but it makes an enormous impact on your life. So if you're ready to go deeper on this, consider joining the Paragliding Men's Group. It's a tight-knit group of committed men who are paraglide pilots who want to be leaders in their families, in their businesses. If you're interested in joining us, the link is in the description. But whether or not you join us, just remember this. The way you show up in paragliding is the way you show up in your life. The way you do one thing is how you do everything. I hope this is encouragement for you to take a look at how you feel about yourself, how it relates to everything that you do, and how you interpret everything that happens around you. Fly safe. Have fun. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.